everyone, it's Jenny Carr here with Jenny Carr Health. I am in the kitchen whipping up a 20-minute meal that is one of my kids' favorites, one of our family favorites. It's anti-inflammatory lasagna casserole. So this meal is free of the top 6 inflammatory foods, which are processed sugar, wheat, cow dairy, inflammatory oils, genetically modified foods, and of course, alcohol. My kids are in the background, so you might hear a little bit of them, but I wanted to show you how quick you can make this and how you can put it together. So what I have is, the first thing is grass-fed beef, okay? Meat, this is a whole nother Facebook Live, which I will do, but free range and grass-fed meat is a food category entirely that stands on its own versus regular USDA type meat. If you want to read about it, you can grab a free copy of my international best-selling book, Piece of Cake, The Secret to an Anti-Inflammatory Diet. The link is in this Facebook post. But grass-fed meat essentially is not given genetically modified foods, and the grass contains omega-3 fats, which are anti-inflammatory. So I use a grass-fed, grass-finished beef. I use tinkyada brown pasta, and my pasta is already cooked. But the way that that's spelled, tinkyada, I'm going through my pantry right here. Tinkyada. I'm going to turn this around so you can see. This is it, tinkyada pasta, and this comes in lasagna, and this is spirals, and I've had some pre-cooked just penne, and it comes in spaghetti, right? And I've got this ground beef here. And then the next thing you'll need, is really only requires 4 ingredients. The next thing you need is a tomato sauce that also is free of processed sugar and ideally citric acid, which is pretty commonly found in pasta sauces. So if you look at this one, it's organic tomato puree, tomatoes, salt, organic onions, organic carrot juice, organic extra virgin olive oil, which is a non-inflammatory oil, organic garlic powder, organic basil, organic garlic, organic black pepper, no sugar. It's important to look at that versus the sugars in the nutritional label. So this has 4 grams of sugars. Those come from natural sugars from the tomatoes. What we want to stay away from are processed sugars. There's over 50 names for processed sugars. And again, you can read about that in my book. And then you have pasta. I have this pasta that's already pre-made. And last but not least, a whole bunch of shredded cheese. And the cheese that I like to use is this Mount Sterling goat cheese. This is a raw, mild cheddar cheese. They make a mozzarella, which would make more sense for this recipe. However, I didn't have that handy, and my kids don't really seem to notice, so it all works out well. The way you can make this in 20 minutes or less is you start browning the meat, and at the same time you boil the pasta. The tinkyada pasta takes about 12 minutes. While those two are cooking, you grate the cheese. And then once they're all put together, my kids are being loud. Once they're all put together, or they're all cooked, you just put them together. So I'll show you what that actually looks like. You've got your hot brown, you have your hot ground beef. We're just going to add the pasta, and this pasta was already cooked. So as it warms up, it will kind of break up. And you want to make sure that the beef is still warm while you're doing this, to allow the sauce to warm up and the cheese to melt. And if your pasta is already pre-cooked, I typically make an extra large amount of pasta when I make it so that I can whip up meals like this in no time. So if your pasta is already cooked, the heat from the meat will also just kind of separate it and make it come out well. One thing I do recommend is you are doing, when you cook your pasta, you want to cook it al dente. So the directions on the tinkyada brown pasta typically say around 13 minutes, and I kind of go for more around like 11-ish minutes. just because as you continue to add it with the meat and the cheeses, it will cook a little bit further, and it just tastes best to be al dente. Okay, next we're gonna add the cheese because we want to keep it nice and warm. So I'll turn it around here, and I grated about 1.5 blocks of the cheese. My kids love cheese. It's a great, goat cheese in particular is a great source of clean protein. Some people, hey Stacy, some people are not able to do any sort of casein, but a lot of people who are not able to do cow dairy can do goat or sheep cheese, and that's because the protein molecule is much smaller and more easily digestible than that of cow dairy. So what you want to do is you just want to mix this up really well. You've got the pasta, the meat. I did about 3 pounds of meat. If you notice, this is going to be a big casserole. I do that on purpose. One of my tips to streamlining in the kitchen is really ensuring that I have extra food. So this will be used for my son's lunches for the week. It will be used. My kids are going crazy. It will be used for dinners. And it just makes life easier when you can cook in bigger batches. I find that makes life easier. Stacy says, hi, wanted to watch because I just finished eating Lucky Charms, then ramen noodles because I didn't feel like taking time to cook. I love it, Stacy. Maybe this can be a little inspiration for your next meal. So now that we have the meat, the noodles, the cheese added, I'm going to go ahead and add the tomato sauce. And again, just mix it up really nicely. I do about a can. There's no exact recipe or order to this madness. It's more about just combining foods. I tend to be a bit heavier on the protein because I know how important that is for my kids. To have a good source of clean protein, but you could certainly add more pasta and less meat if you wanted, just depending. If you guys are watching now, I'd love to know where you're watching from, what you had for dinner tonight, and what you love to cook. What's your favorite meal that you love to whip up for your family? So this here kind of ends up being like a goulash. Instead of having layers of lasagna, right, you have this casserole. And so you can really easily keep it, you have this nice casserole, you can really easily keep it, isn't that so pretty? You can easily, sorry, I'm getting distracted by the beauty of it. You can easily keep it in a casserole dish. You can, it's just easy to transport, easy for the kids to watch or to eat. All right, Sunny Miller, I'm glad that you are joining us. You guys, I hope this was helpful, and my kids singing in the background is entertaining you. And we'll talk to you soon. Oh, and if you'd like a free copy of my international best-selling book, Piece of Cake, The Secret to an Anti-Inflammatory Diet, I have over 40 recipes for breakfast, lunch, dinner, desserts, snacks that are so amazing. Hi, Esther. Thanks for joining. And so feel free to grab, I'm giving this book away. Feel free to grab a free copy of it. It is in the link provided. And I will talk to you all soon. Have a great night. Bye-bye.